Grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light. What does that phrase mean? A man after God's own heart. What does it mean? Well, it means a man with a heart like God. A man with a heart like God. So let's explore David's heart to see. Well, when he was a youth, he kept sheep for his father. And though he was young, he protected them. Adam was called a tender keeper. Tend the garden and keep it. Two things, tender and keeper. Deuteronomy 28, the tender and delicate man among you will turn evil, according to the curse. You hear that? Tender. Well, a man sought for David's life. On numerous occasions, David had to flee many times. He was running for his life from a man named Saul, who was anointed king of Israel at the time from the tribe of Benjamin. Wolf, a raven wolf, howling to the father. Benjamin, son of the right hand. He sought for David's life. And when David had the upper hand on Saul, and would be within his rights to kill him, for he sought for his life, it would have ended all of his fears in that moment, all of his doubts. All he had to do was pull his sword and do what he had to do. But instead, he had compassion on Saul. And he cut a piece of Saul's garment off of him as Saul relieved himself in the cave. Didn't know David was there. David was in there hiding from Saul. But he cut a piece of his garment, and when Saul left out of that cave and went to walk away, David ran and fell on the ground before Saul and held that piece of that garment. And he said, "This is the proof that I don't seek any harm to you. Because of this anointing that I've been given, envy has entered your heart, brother. And because of that envy, many of our brothers will lose their lives." It's written. But if we have love one to another and have compassion for our brother, as our King showed us that day, then you will have a heart after your Father at last, Israel. You will not pull that trigger today. You will stay your hand at the things that you doubt when you extend it. That doubt, let it be your signal to recoil your hand. Touch not mine anointed. He's anointed, David said. And so I will not lift my sword to touch a hair on your head. And Saul screamed out and cried. A hardened soldier, king, cried before his men. And he said, "David, you are a better man than I. Our father is not wrong in electing you. For I sought to take life, but you have shown compassion and grace." And he sought no more to harm David. Let's keep doing this heart check. David's men were weary and hungry. They had no food. And David knew that the showbread in that temple was not lawful for them to eat. But he had compassion upon his men who stood with him, defended and fought with him. He had compassion on them. And he asked Abba for his grace. Father, forgive me. But be tender toward my friends who are starving. And let the wrong, if it be, when I take this bread, fall upon me and not my brothers. I give my life so that they may eat. There is no greater love than this. This is a man after God's own heart. A true leader of a nation. Not this thing that they're putting up in your face every day, making a mockery. And how you all accept that is beyond me. When man was given the ability to rise to a higher level and walk upright on 2 feet, when everything else crawls and pays homage to him. Nature shows us this, but yet he would rather crawl on all fours in his heart than rather be upright. To show grace, to show compassion and mercy, to be patient and long-suffering with those that you say that you love. Don't take love's name in vain any longer. For God is love. And many of you curse that name when you speak and you say, I love you. But your heart is far from that person. We look more into David's heart. He heard of his brothers being afraid. And he came to investigate. Being a youth. And he says, why is everyone afraid? What are they afraid of? And while he was giving his brother some food that his father had told him to take there and check on them and bring back word, he saw Goliath and heard Goliath talking. And he was offended that this person thought that they could talk about God's people in such a way. A king again. Like I'm telling you, you're not going to call my people by these misnomers. We are the people of God, and you will address us as such, or you'll find out today what happens if you don't. So what happened, y'all? Well, everyone in the Israelite camp was shuddering. Even the king, Saul. David went to the king and said, what will a man get if he takes care of this uncircumcised Philistine? What will he get? And Saul told him, one of the things being his daughter as a wife. David said, all right, I'll do it. Saul like, well, you were a kid, man. Yeah, I got it, I'll do it. He said, well, here, take this armor. Put this armor on you. And David put it on, and he tested it out, and it was too heavy and cumbersome. So he said, no, I have to be light. I have to be fast. I have to use my attributes against this dumb, idiot, stupid, hard-headed, idol-worshipping heathen who doesn't know how to use his mind as a man. Well, let me show you how. You're big. You're extremely strong. Yes, you are. Look at you. You should be. You're 10 feet tall. If you ain't strong, something the fuck is wrong. So, I know I'm not about to wrestle with you because I'm wise. But I'm going to get the job done with wisdom. A man after God's own heart. So there's one Philistine there, Goliath. He also has 4 brothers. So let me get 5 stones. Y'all do the math. 5 smooth stones. Wisdom, aerodynamic, can whip through the air with velocity and speed and gain momentum as it moves. I'm going to snipe him. The wound will look just like a sniper rifle. So, hey, you. Yeah, you, baby Huey. You want to fight, right? You said, if I beat y'all gonna be slaves. But if you beat us, then we'll be slaves, right? If you beat me, then we'll be slaves, right? That's what you said? All right, well, I'm here to take you up on that. And he laughed at David. Ha, 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 ha. You're nothing but a kid. How many times I gotta hear that? How many times I gotta hear that? You're nothing but a youth. Okay? Sure. I'm going to feed you to the dogs and all this other stuff. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, let's check his heart right now. Goliath started to advance toward David, and David ran toward Goliath. Heart? Any fear in that thing right there? Is there faith in that thing right there? Does God judge by the heart? Did he choose the right man or not? Nobody thought David was the man. Samuel didn't even think it. The prophet of God. God said, let me show you the right way to judge. Watch this event right here. The flock that David is fighting for when he was with those sheep of his father, get it? Are now the children of Israel. I have made you a shepherd unto them. And now a wolf is up there. An alpha wolf wants to tear them to pieces. And what will you do? Huh? Will you run and leave the flock and show that you are not a son of the house, but a hired servant? Or will you show that you are a son and stand in your authority? Hey, Wolfie, come here. When a wolf get hit, what sound he make? That's the sound Goliath made when that smooth stone hit him right here in his head. Now, you know how wolves are, don't you? They come in a fucking pack. And they get amped up when they see the alpha get amped. He's like, yeah, we about to eat. They're like, we about to eat. Yeah, sir, we're about to eat, master. Fuck, yeah, let's go, guys. They get bloodlust. That's what the Philistines had. Well, what do you think happens when they see their alpha get his head cracked with a big ass stone, and then he gets stood on top of and gets his head chopped off and shown to them by a kid? How you think they feel? Well, do some research on wolves, and that'll give you your answer. And then read the Bible. They scattered, and they ran. And even the little sheep chased the wolves? Who has heard of such a thing? Dinner. Dinner's chasing me? Yeah. You see, there's a lion walking among those sheep. Now, when he transforms, he's a sheep, but he's black. So all the other sheep think he's weird. They're like, he's not anything special, man. He's actually weird because he's black. Because all the other white ones are white, and they think white is right. So the black one is like, but I have a gift. If someone comes to fuck with you guys, I can transform into a lion. The black is the genetic marker of the thing that is planted within me. If you, my people, you can hear me right now of what I'm talking about. The melanin that you see in my wool is the genetic marker of what happens to me when I change. But of course, the black sheep is the hated, cast out, lonely, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You guys, if you want to understand what I'm saying, just watch that shit. If you were 80s baby, you damn sure watched that shit growing up as a kid on before Christmas, on Christmas Eve. Shit. That little claymation shit with Rudolph, you know, they was roasting him because they was like, look at his nose. Look at him. He's the leader. He's gonna light the way. Oh, we too stupid to know that. Yeah, well, hey. You're just rebellious and hard-headed, that's all. So, we doing heart check, right? That's right. Back to the heart check. So, David had been living some time. And there was another war going on, but David had become comfortable in his kingdom and was at the palace at the time. Not out there with the sheep. So while he was up there, his mind was idle when he should have been at the battle. And he looked upon a woman who was taking a bath, Sheba. And he said, well, damn, ain't nobody around to know about this. Hey, girl, come on up here and let me see you real quick. So she came on up there and he saw her real quick and then he knew her. And y'all know what happens when somebody knows somebody. A baby come from that. Well, we know that story. He did some sin there. He went error in his heart. He plotted wickedness with his heart, used it wrong there. Uh-oh. And that's to show his fleshly infirmity. That's the infirmity of the flesh. That's to show it. But we want to see his heart. So here comes Nathan, years later, comes to David and confronts David about his sin, and David repents immediately. When he sees it, he repents. So here we go again. Humble. What did Christ say? I am humble, lowly, riding upon a colt. The king of Israel would ride a colt rather than in the beast that y'all president like to ride around in. See the difference? Do you see the difference? Because there's a vast one. Lowly. That's why you don't understand. The black sheep is just humble, walking around. Because he understands y'all don't like him. He's like, I get it. I'm hated without a cause. I know. So he's humble. He doesn't expect to be received, honestly, because of what he's been told about his people. So he has to have great compassion. Well, that's what we're hearing about David here. So the moral of all of this, the moral of the story, as they say, is to have a heart like God's heart. Because God judges the heart. That was the whole jewel on that table of that story Samuel going to choose. It was to show man not to look on the outward appearance of what you think chosen looks like, what you think righteousness looks like, what you think powerful looks like, what you think strength looks like, what you think. You have been taught all of that by man. Now, God said, God doesn't judge as man judges. Checkmate, if you're wise. For man judges the outward appearance. So he thinks something is strong by how it looks on the outside. Is that wise or dumb to do that? Old people would say, that's wise. Young people would say, it's dumb. Huh? It's just the way it is. You judge something on the outward. Do feelings do that or do thoughts? Do feelings do that or do facts? Do they judge something on the surface? Do facts do that? No. But feelings do. She's beautiful, so she's a good woman. I'm going to marry her. What? The only criteria for marriage is her outward appearance? Well, you're going to find out what the inward appearance is later on. And then you're going to say you were fooled and blame it on her. Well, it's your fault you didn't look in the inside of the cup before you drank from it, nigga. Now you mad because you got some damn gook all in your mouth? That's weird. I would have looked in the inside first, even if the outside looked flaky. Because I can work with that. I can clean that. But in the inside, wait. Ooh. I was about to pour some coffee and drink it out of there, but there's worms in the bottom of that cup. There's maggots all down in there. Are you going to drink from it? Well, if the outside of the cup has got a sparkle coming off of it and it says, have a happy coffee day and all this other shit with a little fucking coffee bean with a smile on his face on it going, yeah, then you're going to grab that shit and drink it. Uh-oh, maggots, nigga. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, what the fuck's going on? Well, you judge like a man judge. You judge like a man judge. You judge like a man judge. I'll give you an example of what I mean. My grandmother, when I was a little boy growing up, she would cook all kinds of things, guys. She was a master cook. I lived with her for a time while she worked as a cook. So I used to watch her make all of these things, but one thing in particular just really stood out to me, and it was cake. Her cakes. And she would make all kind of cakes. And one thing that she would do for her grandchildren is she would ask them, what kind of cake do you want for your birthday? And I'll make it for you. Well, it didn't matter what the hell kind of cake it was she made. The shit was good. But in particular, her butter cake, oh my God, y'all. Oh, Lord, they say to die for, literally. But this is the thing. It didn't matter how it looked on the outside when she was done. And it always looked beautiful because, like I said, she was an expert. But it didn't matter. If she complained and said, oh, I didn't like high like I want, it was always something she would say. It's not as high as I would like it to be, or I didn't have enough frosting to put on there to make it quite perfect like I wanted, whatever. When you slice that bad boy and eat it, you're like, oh, shit, I've gone to heaven. Okay? Now, there's another woman that I know. She makes cakes like professionally for like birthdays and any type of engagement where you need a cake. She makes them and she makes them all dramatic. Like I remember one cake she made was like a My Little Pony cake and it had M&Ms all over it and it looked just like a My Little Pony and shit. And then she made one that was a chameleon because the guy that had it loved chameleons. And she made a chameleon. It looked just like a damn chameleon. And she does that. But boy, oh boy, when you take a slice out of that cake, you don't taste nothing but air. You're like, where's the stuff? Where's the buttery goodness? My tongue is swirling around and shit, and I'm dancing while I'm eating it in the kitchen and shit. We're thinking about the next two pieces I'm going to eat and how somebody's going to complain and say who ate half the cake, and I'm going to have to lie. Doing all that. Why I'm not doing that? Why I'm saying where's the taste? Well, those two women I described were vastly different in personality. One of them, kind, patient, firm, but fair, very extremely generous and full of hospitality, praised by all of the family members of the family, mourned greatly in her death. The other one, lonely, for the longest time lived at home by herself with just her dog. And not because of being ostracized from the world, but because of choice. has children and everything, but constantly falling out with the children. Just mean, bitter, angry. When I met her, I'm with her daughter, and I'm 26. Her daughter's 26, okay? And we meet her boyfriend. We're there to meet her boyfriend. He's 25. What? This nigga younger than me, and you her mama. Well, that's why that cake tastes like that. Do y'all understand what I'm saying to you? There's something inside of you that goes through you into that thing. She can't do it because she doesn't have it in her, but you could because you had it in you. So, if God was judging the cakes, he might say, well, that one cake doesn't look as good as that one, so I'm going to go with the one that looks better. Then you'll get the air when you taste it. I'm going to be in the buttercream cake that was crooked leaning. I'm going to be all in it because I know who made it. And I know the heart of the person who made it. Shit. See, I'll tell you another vast difference between the two. Because, see, my grandmother, she would rarely eat what she made for the family. It's interesting. She would cook a whole bunch of food, be in the kitchen all day, cooking, laughing. Well, she had this big laugh, tell stories, and just have you completely engaged in this story. And just cooking the whole time. When it's done, everybody come eat. And she had 7 children of her own. My father being her oldest son, her firstborn, my father. And she would feed all of us. And she would say, how is it? She was from the South. Florine is her name. How is it? We'd be like, oh, Grandma, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. She would just laugh. She would just laugh and say, good, I'm glad you like it. That was her reward. So she wasn't concerned with what you thought it looked like. She was concerned with whether you knew it tastes good because you're eating, baby. It's about what you taste. You see, but you live in a world of outward appearance, and that's why when you go to high-class restaurants, oh, it look beautiful on the plate, but it ain't shit in your mouth for real. You're like, okay, I'm ready to eat a big plate of food, man. And y'all know, Israelites, that when y'all used to be out there in the world going to Thanksgiving and shit, used to have all that food on your plate with a bun dabbing that shit. The dressing with the macaroni and cheese with a piece of the damn cranberry on top of the dressing you done got mixed in there, and then you gotta take the bun with the butter and shit and sop that shit, and then you got some of the potato salad you keep over to the side because it's cool and you don't want it to get hot because with the other food and shit, and you start eating that, and then you like get that in your mouth, you're like, oh shit, Then you got the turkey that you put right there, they got the gravy and shit, that shit gonna make you sleepy. You eating that shit, it's a little bit dry, so you're like, let me put a little gravy on there. Eating that, you're like, damn, this shit good as hell, boy, damn, thank you, Grandma. This is what it is. So in truth, you don't care. You mixing all that stuff together, man. That's what it's about. I want you to get that satisfaction. She's thinking that when she's doing it. It's the point. The other woman is thinking, I want you to look at it and think it look good. I want you to marvel at how well I made it. A perfectionist and over-righteous. Oh, God, you can't hear it. You can't hear it. I told you, my grandma would slide it to you and tell you what's wrong with it. It's crooked. I tried to get it right, but I don't know, maybe I just baked the other cake too long or something. I don't know. I'm going to have to make another one and get it right. But go ahead and try it. You tell her immediately as soon as the butter goes on your tongue. Oh, that little crunchy little edge on that shit. Oh, I don't care about the crookedness. It's in my stomach now. Shit. I ate the half that was crooked. Damn. All 3 layers. You got to cut right through that shit. Ding. Damn. It's just reality, Israel. Just telling y'all the truth, man. Everything The issues of life come from where? Your heart. Your day is all an extension of your heart. You will have peace through your day if your heart is peaceful. Now, is a heart that's peaceful after God or like God's heart is? Yep. Yep. Peace be still. That's what David told the Goliath. Peace be still, nigga. Calm your ass down, or I'll calm you down. Well, you gonna have to calm me down then, because I ain't calming down. Ding! Yeah, timber, nigga. The bigger they are, the harder. Kabloom! They fall. Shit. Where was the fall of that pride? It's embarrassing to get your head cut off with your own sword. You understand that? It's embarrassing as hell to get your head cut off with your own sword. What that mean in the spirit? That means when you come up to a righteous man and you're trying to tempt him like they did Christ, and he could perceive their thoughts, the question that they would ask him, he would use that question to destroy them with it. You hear that there? He turns their weapons against them because he's completely covered in armor. So I don't know why you're throwing any of that stuff. That's how he is. That's why he has peace. I don't know why you're trying to kick the wind up. I'm on this boat. So ain't nobody gonna die. I tell you that right now. See how David was about his men? You see? David's mighty men. And when you look at what they could do, then it makes you really appreciate brotherly love. It really makes you love on your brothers and say, wait a minute, when we band together, instead of playing basketball on a team together, instead of playing football on a football field, trying not to injure my ACL and all this shit, instead of that, how about I band together with my brothers in this armor and we swing our swords together? Because at the end of the battle, when we sit around the campfire, we'll be saying things like, damn, how many you got? 800. Oh, my Lord, that was more than yesterday. Sheesh, buddy. 800 with a spear. Yeah. Yep. Get to show God's glory in those moments. Let me show you what God can do with a small thing. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman hid in a lump. And as she baked that lump, it grew and fed the whole house. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which is a very small seed, but once it dies and it bursts forth, it grows into a very big plant. And even the birds make their nest in it and can live in it. And so it is with your new heart, which is the kingdom of heaven, and your new mind, which is the kingdom of heaven, which is Zion and Jerusalem, which is the north kingdom and the south kingdom. And when they come together and become one like they did under David, then David will come back and sit on his throne again and everything will be all good. Everything's in reverse. Listen to this good before I end this message and put this in your pocket. Everything's in reverse. So start your clock. We're going to go forward here first, and then we're going to take where we went and go reverse. David is on the throne. Israel is unified. Now hit start. Solomon is born. Israel is still unified. But when Solomon dies, Israel snaps into two. That is the end of the kingdom, because a kingdom divided, as I've said before, cannot stand. So then if we reverse the process, then that means the two nations become one under the grandson of Jesse, which is Solomon, and then David comes back and sits back on his throne. Sulawam Israel.